Section number 1 of John Keats Selected Poems. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Leonard Wilson. John Keats Selected Poems. La Belle Dame sans Merci. Oh, what can ail thee, knight-at-arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge hath withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight-at-arms, so haggard and so woe-begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairish child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long, for sidelong would she bend and sing a faery's song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamed on the cold hill's side. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame sans Merci have thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam, with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hill's side. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. End of La Belle Dame sans Merci by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section number 2 of John Keats Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. Why did I laugh tonight? No voice will tell. Why did I laugh tonight? No voice will tell. No god, no demon of severe response deigns to reply from heaven or from hell. Then to my human heart I turn at once. Heart, thou and I are here, sad and alone. I say, why did I laugh? O mortal pain, O darkness, darkness, ever must I moan to question heaven and hell and heart in vain. Why did I laugh? I know this being's lease, my fancy to its utmost blisses spreads. Yet would I on this very midnight cease, and the world's gaudy ensigns see in shreds. Verse, fame, and beauty are intense indeed, but death intenser. Death is life's high meed. End of Why Did I Laugh Tonight? No Voice Will Tell by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 3 of John Keats Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. Meg Merrilies. Old Meg she was a gypsy, and lived upon the moors. Her bed it was the brown heath turf, and her house was out of doors. Her apples were swart blackberries, her currants pods o' broom. Her wine was dew of the wild white rose, her book a churchyard tomb. Her brothers were the craggy hills, her sisters larchen trees. Alone with her great family she lived as she did please. No breakfast had she many a morn, no dinner many a noon. Instead of supper she would stare full hard against the moon. But every morn of woodbine fresh she made her garlanding, and every night the dark glen yew she wove, and she would sing. And with her fingers old and brown she plaited mats o' rushes, and gave them to the cottagers she met among the bushes. Old Meg was brave as Margaret Queen, and tall as Amazon. An old red blanket cloak she wore, a chip hat she had on. God rest her aged bones somewhere. She died full long agone. End of Meg Merrilies by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 4 of John Keats Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. The Eve of St. Agnes. St. Agnes' Eve, ah, bitter chill it was. The owl, for all his feathers, was a cold. The hare limped trembling through the frozen grass, and silent was the flock in woolly fold. Numb were the beadsman's fingers while he told his rosary, and while his frosted breath, like pious incense from a censer old, seemed taking flight for heaven without a death, past the sweet Virgin's picture, while his prayer he saith. His prayer he saith, this patient holy man, then takes his lamp and riseth from his knees, and back returneth, meagre, barefoot, wan, along the chapel aisle by slow degrees. The sculptured dead on each side seemed to freeze, imprisoned in black purgatorial rails. Knights, ladies, praying in dumb oratories, he passeth by, and his weak spirit fails to think how they may ache in icy hoods and mails. Northward he turneth through a little door, and scarce 3 steps ere music's golden tongue flattered to tears this aged man and poor. But no, already had his death bell rung, the joys of all his life were said and sung. His was harsh penance on St. Agnes' Eve. Another way he went, and soon among rough ashes sat he for his soul's reprieve, and all night kept awake for sinners' sake to grieve. That ancient beadsman heard the prelude soft, and so it chanced, for many a door was wide from hurry to and fro. Soon up aloft the silver snarling trumpets 'gan to chide. The level chambers, ready with their pride, were glowing to receive 1,000 guests. The carved angels, ever eager-eyed, stared where upon their heads the cornice rests, with hair blown back and wings put crosswise on their breasts. At length burst in the argent revelry, with plume, tiara, and all rich array, numerous as shadows, haunting fairily the brain, new-stuffed in youth with triumphs gay of old romance. These let us wish away, and turn sole-thoughted to one lady there, whose heart had brooded all that wintry day on love and winged St. Agnes' saintly care, as she had heard old dames full many times declare. They told her how, upon St. Agnes' eve, young virgins might have visions of delight, and soft adorings from their loves receive upon the honeyed middle of the night, if ceremonies due they did aright. As supperless to bed they must retire, and couch supine their beauties lily white, nor look behind nor sideways, but require of heaven with upward eyes for all that they desire. Full of this whim was thoughtful Madeline. The music, yearning like a god in pain, she scarcely heard. Her maiden eyes divine, fixed on the floor, saw many a sweeping train pass by. She heeded not at all. In vain came many a tiptoe amorous cavalier, and back retired, not cooled by high disdain, but she saw not. Her heart was otherwhere. She sighed for Agnes's dreams, the sweetest of the year. She danced along with vague, regardless eyes, anxious her lips, her breathing quick and short. The hallowed hour was near at hand. She sighs amid the timbrels and the thronged resort of whisperers in anger or in sport. Mid looks of love, defiance, hate, and scorn, hoodwinked with fairy fancy, all amort save to St. Agnes and her lambs unshorn, and all the bliss to be before to-morrow morn. So, purposing each moment to retire, she lingered still. Meantime, across the moors had come young Porphyro, with heart on fire for Madeline. Beside the portal doors, buttressed for moonlight, stands he, and implores all saints to give him sight of Madeline, but for one moment in the tedious hours, that he might gaze and worship all unseen, perchance speak, kneel, touch, kiss, in sooth such things have been. He ventures in. Let no buzzed whisper tell, all eyes be muffled, or 100 swords will storm his heart, love's fever's citadel. For him those chambers held barbarian hordes, hyena foemen and hot-blooded lords, whose very dogs would execrations howl against his lineage. Not one breast affords him any mercy in that mansion foul, save one old beldam, weak in body and in soul. Ah, happy chance! The aged creature came, shuffling along with ivory-headed wand, to where he stood, hid from the torch's flame, behind a broad hall-pillar, far beyond the sound of merriment and chorus bland. He startled her, but soon she knew his face, and grasped his fingers in her palsied hand, saying, "Merci, Porphyro! Hie thee from this place. They are all here to-night, the whole bloodthirsty race. Get hence, get hence! There's dwarfish Hildebrand, he had a fever late, and in the fit he cursed thee and thine, both house and land. Then there's that old Lord Maurice, not a whit more tame for his gray hairs. Alas me! Flit, flit like a ghost away. Ah, gossip dear, we're safe enough. Here in this arm-chair sit, and tell me how. Good saints, not here, not here! Follow me, child, or else these stones will be thy bier." He followed through a lowly arched way, brushing the cobwebs with his lofty plume, and as she muttered, "Wella, wella day," he found him in a little moonlight room, pale latticed, chill and silent as a tomb. "Now tell me, where is Madeline?" said he. "Oh, tell me, Angela, by the holy loom, which none but secret sisterhood may see, when they St. Agnes' wool are weaving piously." "St. Agnes, ah, it is St. Agnes' eve. Yet men will murder upon holy days. Thou must hold water in a witch's sieve, and be liege lord of all the elves and fays, to venture so. It fills me with amaze to see thee, Porphyro. Saint Agnes' Eve, God's help! My lady fair the conjurer plays this very night. Ha, ha! Good angels her deceive! But let me laugh awhile. I've mickle time to grieve. Feebly she laugheth in the languid moon, while Porphyro upon her face doth look, like puzzled urchin on an aged crone, who keepeth closed a wondrous riddle book, as spectacled she sits in chimney nook. But soon his eyes grew brilliant when she told his lady's purpose, and he scarce could brook tears at the thought of those enchantments cold, and Madeline asleep in lap of legends old. Sudden a thought came like a full-blown rose, flushing his brow, and in his painted heart made purple riot. Then doth he propose a stratagem that makes the beldam start. "A cruel man and impious thou art! Sweet lady, let her pray and sleep and dream alone with her good angels, far apart from wicked men like thee. Go, go! I deem thou canst not surely be the same that thou didst seem." "I will not harm her, by all saints I swear," quoth Porphyro. "Oh, may I ne'er find grace when my weak voice shall whisper its last prayer, if one of her soft ringlets I displace, or look with ruffian passion in her face. Good Angela, believe me by these tears, or I will, even in a moment's space, awake with horrid shout my foemen's ears, and beard them, though they be more fanged than wolves and bears." "Ah, why wilt thou affright a feeble soul, a poor weak palsy-stricken churchyard thing, whose passing bell may ere the midnight toll, whose prayers for thee each morn and evening were never missed?" Thus plaining does she bring a gentler speech from burning Porphyro, so woful and of such deep sorrowing, that Angela gives promise she will do whatever he shall wish, betide her weal or woe; which was to lead him in close secrecy even to Madeline's chamber, and there hide him in a closet of such privacy that he might see her beauty unespied, and win, perhaps that night, a peerless bride, while legioned fairies paced the coverlet, and pale enchantment held her sleepy-eyed. Never on such a night have lovers met, since Merlin paid his demon all the monstrous debt. "It shall be as thou wishest," said the dame. "All cates and dainties shall be stored there quickly on this feast night. By the tambour frame her own lute thou wilt see. No time to spare, for I am slow and feeble, and scarce dare on such a catering trust my dizzy head. Wait here, my child, with patience, kneel in prayer the while. Ah, thou must needs the lady wed, or may I never leave my grave among the dead." So saying, she hobbled off with busy fear. The lovers' endless minutes slowly passed. The dame returned, and whispered in his ear to follow her, with aged eyes aghast from fright of dim espial. Safe at last, through many a dusky gallery, they gain the maiden's chamber, silken, hushed, and chaste, where Porphyro took covert, pleased amain. His poor guide hurried back with agues in her brain. Her faltering hand upon the balustrade, old Angela was feeling for the stair, when Madeline, St. Agnes' charmed maid, rose like a missioned spirit unaware. With silver tapers light and pious care, she turned and down the aged gossip led to a safe level matting. "Now prepare, young Porphyro, for gazing on that bed. She comes again, like ring-dove frayed and fled. Out went the taper as she hurried in, its little smoke in pallid moonshine dyed. She closed the door, she panted, all akin to spirits of the air and visions wide. No uttered syllable or woe betide. But to her heart was voluble, paining with eloquence her balmy side, as though a tongueless nightingale should swell her throat in vain, and die heart stifled in her dell. A casement high and triple arched there was, all garlanded with carven imageries of fruits and flowers and bunches of knot grass, and diamonded with panes of quaint device, innumerable of stains and splendid dyes, as are the tiger moth's deep damasked wings. And in the midst, 'mong thousand heraldries and twilight saints and dim emblazonings, a shielded scutcheon blushed with blood of queens and kings. Full on this casement shone the wintry moon, and threw warm gules on Madeline's fair breast, as down she knelt for heaven's grace and boon. Rose bloom fell on her hands together pressed, and on her silver cross soft amethyst, and on her hair a glory like a saint. She seemed a splendid angel newly dressed, save wings for heaven. Porphyro grew faint. She knelt, so pure a thing, so free from mortal taint. Anon his heart revives. Her vespers done, of all its wreathed pearls her hair she frees, unclasps her warmed jewels one by one, loosens her fragrant bodice, by degrees her rich attire creeps rustling to her knees. Half hidden, like a mermaid in seaweed, pensive awhile she dreams awake, and sees, in fancy, fair Saint Agnes in her bed, but dares not look behind, or all the charm is fled. Soon, trembling in her soft and chilly nest, in sort of wakeful swoon, perplexed she lay, until the poppied warmth of sleep oppressed her soothed limbs, and soul fatigued away, flown like a thought until the morrow day, blissfully havened both from joy and pain, clasped like a missile where swart Paynims pray, blinded alike from sunshine and from rain, as though a rose should shut and be a bud again. Stolen to this paradise, and so entranced, Porphyro gazed upon her empty dress, and listened to her breathing, if it chanced to wake into a slumberous tenderness; which, when he heard, that minute did he bless, and breathed himself. Then from the closet crept, noiseless as fear in a wide wilderness, and over the hushed carpet silent stepped, and 'tween the curtains peeped, where lo, how fast she slept. Then by the bedside, where the faded moon made a dim silver twilight, soft he set a table, and half anguished threw thereon a cloth of woven crimson, gold, and jet. Oh, for some drowsy Morphean amulet, the boisterous midnight festive clarion, the kettledrum and far-head clarionet affray his ears, though but in dying tone. The hall door shuts again, and all the noise is gone. And still she slept an azure-lidded sleep, in blanched linen, smooth and lavendered, while he from forth the closet brought a heap of candied apple, quince, and plum, and gourd, with jellies soother than the creamy curd, and lucent syrups tinct with cinnamon, manna and dates in argosy transferred from Fez, and spiced dainties every one from silken Samarcand to cedared Lebanon. These delicates he heaped with glowing hand on golden dishes, and in baskets bright of wreathed silver, sumptuous they stand in the retired quiet of the night, filling the chilly room with perfume light. And now, my love, my seraph fair, awake! Thou art my heaven, and I thine eremite. Open thine eyes for meek Saint Agnes' sake, or I shall drowse beside thee, so my soul doth ache. Thus whispering, his warm unnerved arm sank in her pillow. Shaded was her dream by the dusk curtains. 'Twas a midnight charm, impossible to melt as iced stream. The lustrous salvers in the moonlight gleam, broad golden fringe upon the carpet lies. It seemed he never, never could redeem from such a steadfast spell his lady's eyes. So mused awhile, entoiled in woofed fantasies. Awakening up, he took her hollow lute, tumultuous, and in chords that tenderest be, he played an ancient ditty long since mute, in Provence called La Belle Dame sans Merci, close to her ear touching the melody. Wherewith disturbed, she uttered a soft moan. He ceased. She panted quick, and suddenly her blue affrayed eyes wide open shone. Upon his knees he sank, pale as smooth sculptured stone. Her eyes were open, but she still beheld, now wide awake, the vision of her sleep. There was a painful change that nigh expelled the blisses of her dream so pure and deep, at which fair Madeline began to weep, and moan forth witless words with many a sigh, while still her gaze on Porphyro would keep, who knelt with joined hands and piteous eye, fearing to move or speak, she looked so dreamingly. "Ah, Porphyro," said she, "but even now thy voice was that sweet tremble in mine ear, made tuneable with every sweetest vow, and those sad eyes were spiritual and clear. How changed thou art! How pallid, chill, and drear! Give me that voice again, my Porphyro, those looks immortal, those complainings dear. O leave me not in this eternal woe, for if thou diest, my love, I know not where to go." Beyond a mortal man impassioned far, at these voluptuous accents he arose, ethereal, flushed, and like a throbbing star seen mid the sapphire heaven's deep repose. Into her dream he melted, as the rose blendeth its odor with the violet, solution sweet. Meantime the frost wind blows, like love's alarm pattering the sharp sleet against the window panes. St. Agnes' moon hath set. 'Tis dark, quick pattereth the flaw-blown sleet. This is no dream, my bride, my Madeline. 'Tis dark, the iced gusts still rave and beat. No dream! Alas, alas, and woe is mine! Porphyro will leave me here to fade and pine. Cruel, what traitor could thee hither bring? I curse not, for my heart is lost in thine. Though thou forsakest a deceived thing, a dove forlorn and lost, with sick unpruned wing. My Madeline, sweet dreamer, lovely bride, say may I be for aye thy vassal blest, thy beauty's shield, heart-shaped and vermeil-dyed. Ah, silver shrine, here will I take my rest, after so many hours of toil and quest, a famished pilgrim, saved by miracle. Though I have found, I will not rob thy nest, saving of thy sweet self, if thou thinkest well to trust fair Madeline to no rude infidel. Hark! 'Tis an elfin storm from fairyland, of haggard seeming, but a boon indeed. Arise, arise, the morning is at hand. The bloated wassailers will never heed. Let us away, my love, with happy speed. There are no ears to hear or eyes to see, drowned all in Rhenish, and the sleepy mead. Awake, arise, my love, and fearless be, for o'er the southern moors I have a home for thee." She hurried at his words, beset with fears, for there were sleeping dragons all around, at glaring watch perhaps, with ready spears. Down the wide stairs a darkling way they found. In all the house was heard no human sound. A chain-drooped lamp was flickering by each door. The arras, rich with horseman, hawk, and hound, fluttered in the besieging wind's uproar, and the long carpets rose along the gusty floor. They glide like phantoms into the wide hall, like phantoms to the iron porch they glide, where lay the porter in uneasy sprawl, with a huge empty flagon by his side. The wakeful bloodhound rose and shook his hide, but his sagacious eye an inmate owns. By one and one the bolts full easy slide, the chains lie silent on the foot-worn stones. The key turns, and the door upon its hinges groans. And they are gone. Aye, ages long ago these lovers fled away into the storm. That night the Baron dreamt of many a woe, and all his warrior guests, with shade and form of witch and demon and large coffin-worm, were long benightmared. Angela the old died palsy-twitched, with meagre face deform. The beadsman, after thousand aves told, for aye unsought for, slept among his ashes cold. End of The Eve of St. Agnes by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 5 of John Keats Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. The day is gone, and all its sweets are gone. The day is gone, and all its sweets are gone. Sweet voice, sweet lips, soft hand, and softer breast, warm breath, light whisper, tender semitone, bright eyes, accomplished shape, and languorous waist. Faded the flower and all its budded charms. Faded the sight of beauty from my eyes. Faded the shape of beauty from my arms. Faded the voice, warmth, whiteness, paradise. Vanished unseasonably at shut of eve, when the dusk holiday, or holiday night of fragrant curtained love, begins to weave the woof of darkness thick for hid delight. But as I've read love's missal through to-day, he'll let me sleep, seeing I fast and pray. End of The Day is Gone, and All Its Sweets Are Gone. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 6 of John Keats Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. Where be ye going, you Devon maid? Where be ye going, you Devon maid? And what have ye there in the basket? Ye tight little fairy, just fresh from the dairy, will ye give me some cream if I ask it? I love your meads, and I love your flowers, and I love your junkets mainly, but hind the door I love kissing more. Oh, look not so disdainly. I love your hills, and I love your dales, and I love your flocks a bleating, but oh, on the heather to lie together with both our hearts a beating. I'll put your basket all safe in a nook, your shawl I'll hang up on this willow, and we will sigh in the daisy's eye, and kiss on a grass-green pillow. End of Where Be Ye Going, You Devon Maid, by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 7 of John Keats, Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. After dark vapors have oppressed our plains. After dark vapors have oppressed our plains for a long dreary season, comes a day born of the gentle south, and clears away from the sick heavens all unseemly stains. The anxious month, relieving from its pains, takes as a long-lost right the feel of May. The eyelids with the passing coolness play, like rose-leaves with the drip of summer rains. And calmest thoughts come round us, as of leaves budding, fruit ripening in stillness, autumn suns smiling at eve upon the quiet sheaves, sweet Sappho's cheek, a sleeping infant's breath, the gradual sand that through an hourglass runs, a woodland rivulet, a poet's death. End of After Dark Vapors Have Oppressed Our Plains, by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Section 8 of John Keats, Selected Poems. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leonard Wilson. Ode on a Grecian Urn. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme, what leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals, or of both, in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared, pipe to the spirit, ditties of no tone. Fair youth beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, though winning near the goal. Yet do not grieve, she cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. For ever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy melodist unwearied, forever piping songs, forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadst thou that heifer lowing at the skies, and all her silken flanks with garlands stressed? What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk, this pious morn? And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can e'er return. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou, silent form, dost tease us out of thought, as doth eternity. Cold pastoral, when old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou sayest, Beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know. End of Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Recording by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio.